and those who produce banners, those who are there printers in this gathering? Are there printers in the house? Political season is good season. Is it not so? So we are all getting excited. If there are caterers in the house, small chops is moving very quickly to rallies and to campaigns. So clearly we have chosen something really exciting. If you are into transport business, logistics, campaign period, INEC has announced now that we can start campaign, and you will see businesses begin to do very, very rapid turnovers and performances. So in that sense, is it risky? Perhaps not so. Perhaps we are therefore embarking on what, as I said, has worked in some places. But we must examine the choice we have made in the context of the other leg of the team, because the team has two legs. One was the political adventure side. The other side is the need for more radical approach to insecurity. That's the other leg. So, all of us know the importance of security. If we didn't feel secure, we couldn't even gather here. And no more needs to be said about that. But let us pause to ask ourselves, every government that sees security as its holy grail, do we understand the odds against government? Do we understand the odds? So, as my citation said, I've had some public service experience, and I know the odds. So there was one day I made a speech that I would love to be in every home to protect every child, to protect every family. But the reality is that I am only just one person. I can't be in every home. And perhaps that will help us dimension even the police. We don't have enough policemen. No country has it to put in every home. No country has it. So that then helps us to set and define the odds that government has, because government is the one we all look up to secure us. So it means that government has to be right all the time, all the time. And the criminals need to be right just only once. That's a great odd. So once the criminal successfully strikes in one place, government looks bad. But in all the places where government has scored 88, 89, 90%, it doesn't matter anymore, because the criminal has succeeded once. So for government, 99% is not good enough. For the criminal, 1% is pass mark. Those are the odds that government faces. So those are the odds that those in government deal with at every level to secure us. So what are the radical measures, if any? I concede that there should be some radical measures. But I think the first radical measure is for all of us here, all of us, without exception, to say that we want to be a country of law and order. Can we come to an agreement on that? Because not everybody will agree. And you just need to step outside there to see this agreement. Can we come to an agreement as a people that we want to be a country of law and order? I heard a yes. Who is seconding the motion? And those in favor, how do you vote? The women don't vote too. Aha. Do we want to be a people and a country of law and order? And that nobody should be above the law? And that if any one of us violates the law, we will not go and say that he is being persecuted because he's a Muslim and because the judge is a Christian, or because the governor or the local government chairman is from another ethnic group. We will face the issue because that is the big radical measure that I will leave with this conference in its communique. A resolve to be a people of law and order. If we do that, we would have done something very big. Let the law take its course. Because why, if you look at it, why is this a radical measure? Every time crime happens, a law has actually been broken. Order has been disturbed. Is that not so? So beyond what we know, which is police, the military, law enforcement agencies, so our people even call the law enforcement agencies, they call them security agencies. They are not. They are law enforcement agents. And again, if you go on your Google engine and search, you will see the difference between a law enforcement agent and a security agent. They are different roles and different responsibilities. But that's not my conversation for today. But one other thing we can therefore do in order to aid law enforcement is, as a people, to subscribe to values that define our way of life. So, a couple of my friends and I, about 3 years ago, we visited one African country. We went to play our veterans football. So at the reception, the restaurant where we were hosted, somebody forgot his phone and we were on the bus back to our hotel. And the person was skittish, to put it mildly. And the people said, "Is it your phone? Don't worry, they'll bring it to the hotel." That nothing will happen to it. Indeed, nothing happened to it. They brought it. So there was a time we used to be like that. There was a time when we used to be like that. There was a time when you could not take your classmate's pencil home because your mother will make you see. Somebody said Sheikh. Mothers, do you make them see Sheikh? So those are the type of values that help law enforcement. We must subscribe to it because these are the radical measures beyond policemen chasing criminals, military going into the bush to go and pursue this and that. What kind of values are we living by? Those for me are the radical measures for this conference and for us as a people. And I think that in terms of values, the lines have become blurred. They are not clear anymore. So I asked one law officer one day, I said, why is it that you people, he was a policeman, why is it that you people don't arrest these people who violate basic traffic law? Said, Oga, you know, we don't know what the people will say. People will complain that they are poor people. Do you get the... Now, the person is breaking the law. But some of us are going to say, why don't you leave him now? He's trying to earn a living. What kind of values have we subscribed to? So it is even confusing the law enforcement people about what we want. So that's why I started with our values. That's why I started with law and order. Because we are confusing those who should protect us. And this is first-hand experience that I am sharing. So there is something to be concerned about that. If those who should enforce the law are not sure what we want. So if your gate men, the security men at the gate, are not sure whether you want members to come and remove the fan here in the evening and take it home, you know that there's a problem. And it is a function of values. If sometimes engineer Oyeko can just come here and say, look, I'm all and he can do that. You know where, can you get the picture I'm painting? But that picture is magnified on a national scale. And it is magnified by choices that we have made. And this is why sometimes, therefore, you will see that some of the very subtle but profound crimes, especially traffic crimes, are committed by people in law enforcement, and they will do it in uniform. You know what that tells us? It tells us that those who should enforce the law don't even care. So, we must therefore, before we start pointing the fingers at those in government, more police, more soldiers, more civil defense, we must begin to reset our own minds so that we can correct those people and let them know that we value the law and that we value order. Of course, as I said, if you use the uniform paid for by all of us as taxpayers to then break our law, you have done something really egregious. Almost like something unthinkable. You know, what that means really, when a crime is committed with the uniform, the symbol of the state, it tells us, the people, that the state has turned its back on the law. If you read history, that was what led to one of the greatest empires in the world, the Roman Empire. They turned their backs to the law. But as we talk about law today, it is impossible to talk about law without talking about the Romans, because they gave us laws. So the day they turned their back on law, that was the end of that empire. So you see why I started from law and order. I'm not talking about kidnapping and all of that. I'm saying the architect of all what we want to discuss in the theme is law and order. Let us just embrace it. Of course, then let us go to law enforcement itself. What is the purpose of law enforcement? And what is the value of law enforcement? So in this gathering, how many people have children in the police? One person. How many people have children in defense? Nobody. One person. Okay, a few people. So clearly, we are telling ourselves as a nation that that part of our lives is not important. That's what we are telling ourselves. Inadvertently. Because in other jurisdictions, they contribute members from generation to generation, proudly, to their nation's law enforcement. You will see great-grandfather, grandfather, grandson, who were policemen, who were Marines, who were firefighters. And in that sense, they speak proudly of men and women of courage who run to confront evil when the citizens are running away. So if it is important to us, why are our family members not there? That's a radical measure for this conference to think about, and for all of us to think about. Of course, we say it does not pay well, it pays well. If it is important to us, we will make sure it pays well. We will decide what happens there. And just imagine in a global approximation of employment, a recommendation of 3 law enforcement officers to 1,000 people. That's the recommendation. So Lagos will need, at an estimated population of about 25 million, Lagos will need 75,000 personnel. So why are we walking away or turning our backs on something so manifestly obvious, and then we come and complain that there is youth unemployment? If this system employs 75,000 young people, will we not have struck a big blow at unemployment? And then we will decide whether it's a special tax, whether to pay the appropriate remuneration and project a career in that sense. So how much are we willing to pay as salaries to recruit the very best of our society to protect us? Let's think about it. Because, as I say, in the project of crime prevention, crime detection, and prosecution, the state is in competition with criminals. It's a competition. As they make money, they buy arms. They compromise the system. And the state must outthink, outspend, and outrun them. So the person who commits more resources to the project gains the upper hand. It's very simple. So these are conversations that we must begin to have as we are having the conversation about state police. We must see it just beyond a response to the challenges we face today. We must see it as an opportunity to create a new cadre in the public service. We have engineering cadre, we have medical cadre, we have admin cadre, we have legal cadre, and so on. But I think only Lagos State has a law enforcement cadre, if they haven't changed it, because we started it. That was the cadre we pushed LASMA and Kai into, and we changed them from ad hoc staff into pensionable public servants. So heads of service in the states must begin to think ahead of the passage of that state police law. How do they want to integrate them into the state civil and public service? So again, perhaps one area of radical approach to think about. Those who are in government, who are here, we should put on our thinking caps. We must be thinking ahead. If they pass it and we have to employ 10,000 policemen today, what kind of salary would we be expecting to pay them? What kind of people are we going to be expecting to join and lead our law enforcement? Is it the first and second class citizens, graduates, or is it boys who just want to pick from the lower ends of society? Because that would define and characterize the kind of reward and the return that we get. So I think in this sense, this conference has come at a very good time. I don't talk about the value chain of law enforcement. Because sometimes we can't even arrest the criminals until after the crime has happened. So we go into a process of detection, investigation, ultimate apprehension, and finally prosecution. And our mother who brought me here today was a former Attorney General, a prosecutor in her own right. And our Baba there, Justice I.O. Olorunimbe, was also a part of that. That's part of the law enforcement system. So it's not just police. It's a value chain. You now start to produce. So if you have a factory that is producing, you know, at the end of the production chain, a convicted criminal is also a product. Where is the warehouse? Because if we don't put them in the warehouse, we cannot protect ourselves and our families and our children. So, how many correctional centers have we built since the colonial government left? It's a conversation that even our public servants don't want to have. How will it feel if a president says, okay, I'm going to build 20,000 spaces in the correctional center? Maybe we will start abusing the president. But you know what? That was what a prime minister did